The world was quiet. The air was still, and the sun hung low in the sky. People all over Earth went about their day, not knowing that everything was about to change. Then, a loud, sudden sound echoed across every screen and speaker on the planet. A cold, metallic voice filled the air, and the entire world froze. Attention, Earth. This is the Galactic Council. You are hereby declared an enemy of the galaxy. We, the advanced species of the galaxy, have decided that your kind is a threat to the peace and order of the cosmos. Prepare yourselves for total annihilation. The word sent shockwaves through every nation, every city, every home. The broadcast was not only heard on Earth's most popular news channels, but it also echoed through every communication device. People scrambled to their TVs, radios, and phones to make sense of what had just happened. The Galactic Council, an enemy of the galaxy. It sounded impossible. Earth was just a small, isolated planet, tucked away in a corner of space. How could we be a threat? The voice continued, its tone cold and unfeeling. You are primitive, disorganized, and unworthy of the stars. We are the Galactic Council, rulers of the galaxy. Your kind, humanity, will never be allowed to join the greater universe. We will destroy you, and your world will be nothing but a memory. The announcement ended as abruptly as it began. The world stood still for a moment. Was it a joke? A prank? No one knew for sure. But then came the signs that told them this was no ordinary message. In space, large, dark ships appeared. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Gigantic warships, hovering in Earth's orbit, their metal surfaces reflecting the light of the sun. These ships weren't just any ships. They were massive, towering structures, bristling with weapons that could obliterate an entire city with a single shot. Panic spread quickly. Governments around the world scrambled to respond. Leaders gathered in emergency meetings, trying to understand the full scope of the threat. Military commanders were called into action, and the United Nations issued a global emergency declaration. But the question remained, how could humanity defend itself against such a powerful foe? The world's military forces were impressive, but no one had ever faced an alien enemy with weapons far beyond their understanding. The idea of such advanced civilizations, who had likely conquered many worlds, coming to Earth to destroy them felt like something out of a science fiction novel. Yet this was no story. This was real. The Council had already shown its power. Earth was now in the crosshairs, and no one knew how to stop it. Military experts analyzed the situation, attempting to formulate a plan. The fear was clear. The aliens had technology beyond anything humanity could imagine. How could Earth's forces, with their limited technology, hope to win? In every city, people rushed to the streets, afraid of what might happen next. They watched as the alien ships remained in the sky, silent, unmoving, as if they were just waiting for Earth to crumble under the pressure. Many people were terrified, not knowing if this would be their last day. The military immediately went on high alert. Air Force jets were scrambled to patrol the skies. Naval fleets positioned themselves in the oceans, ready to strike at any moment. Yet, deep down, every soldier knew it was pointless. The enemy ships were too advanced. Their weapons were beyond anything Earth had ever seen. In the midst of the chaos, there was one thing that the aliens had not accounted for. Humanity's greatest strength was not in its weapons or technology. It was in its spirit. Humans did not give up easily. And even in the face of overwhelming odds, they found a way to fight. As the days passed, the world's leaders began to realize something. The Galactic Council believed that humanity was weak and divided, but they underestimated the power of the human will. While the aliens prepared for war, Earth's people began to come together. Nations that had been at odds for centuries put aside their differences and started to work as one. The fear and uncertainty of the past few days had forged a new unity, and humanity's greatest strength, their determination to survive, was beginning to shine through. In the shadows of this growing unity, secret projects and teams were already at work. Some scientists, engineers, and military experts were developing new technologies, brainstorming new ideas, and creating strategies for the fight that was sure to come. They knew they had no time to waste. The war had already begun, and humanity's response would determine whether Earth would survive or fall. The aliens believed they had already won. They thought Earth was weak, defenseless, and divided. But they had no idea what they were about to face. The fight for Earth was just beginning, and humanity was not about to let go without a struggle. The first battle would come soon. Humanity had no choice but to rise to the challenge. The Galactic Council might have declared war, but Earth's response would prove that humanity was not to be underestimated. The story of how Earth would fight back had only just begun. The days after the Galactic Council's announcement were filled with uncertainty. Earth's people braced for what was to come. The air seemed heavy with tension, and every human on the planet knew that their world was no longer just a small blue dot in the vastness of space. It was now the target of an alien empire. The alien ships had been hovering above Earth's orbit, silent and ominous. They were a dark reminder of the power that lay just beyond the atmosphere. The humans did not know when the attack would come, but they knew it would be soon. Governments scrambled to prepare, knowing that no matter how much they planned, nothing could fully prepare them for what they were about to face. The first strike came like a thunderclap. Without warning, a massive beam of energy shot down from one of the alien warships, landing squarely on a large military base in the United States. The ground shook as the base was obliterated in an instant. The blast could be seen for miles, a fiery reminder of just how advanced the enemy's technology was. The attack was swift and merciless. The aliens, knowing that Earth's military was no match for their firepower, launched a coordinated assault across several major cities. Military bases were hit first, followed by key infrastructure, communications hubs, power plants, and transportation centers. The world watched in horror as their cities crumbled under the weight of the alien onslaught. Humanity's worst fears were coming true. But in the face of such destruction, something unexpected began to happen. Earth's response, though far from perfect, was not one of complete surrender. As alien warships rained fire down upon Earth's defenses, humanity did what it always did best. They adapted. The military, although unprepared for an attack of this scale, did not back down. Jets scrambled into the sky, launching missiles at the alien ships, but they were like ants trying to fight a giant. The missiles were ineffective, bouncing harmlessly off the alien shields. Earth's air forces fought valiantly, but the alien ships were too advanced. It seemed like there was no hope. The first wave of attacks was devastating. Yet, amid the chaos, Earth's greatest strength began to reveal itself: human ingenuity. Scientists, engineers, and military strategists rushed to find any way to counter the aliens' advanced weaponry. A small group of brilliant minds at a secret military base on the outskirts of the world's most advanced research city were working day and night. They had no time to waste. They needed a solution, and fast. In a makeshift war room, Commander Elizabeth Moore, a seasoned military leader, stood at the front of a large holographic map. Her face was set in determination, her eyes scanning the data in front of her. The alien ships had made their first move, but they hadn't yet expected humanity to respond. Commander Moore wasn't about to let Earth fall without a fight. "Get me the latest satellite footage," she ordered. A young officer at her side tapped a few keys, and the holographic map updated in real time. It showed the alien fleet in orbit, but it also showed something else, something that gave Moore a glimmer of hope. There, she pointed to a small, seemingly insignificant ship. It was a part of the fleet, but it was not like the rest. This ship, while still enormous, had a few weaknesses that they could exploit. "Do you think it will work?" a voice asked from behind her. Moore turned, her gaze sharp. "It's our best shot. We can't let them know we figured this out." The world watched as the first human counterattack unfolded. The plan was risky, and no one was sure if it would succeed, but it was their only chance. A small fleet of human jets, equipped with newly designed weapons created by the best minds of Earth's engineers, launched into space. These jets were built to survive the harsh conditions of space, with their weaponry designed to penetrate the alien shields. It was a long shot, but if they hit their mark, they could disable one of the alien ships and give Earth a fighting chance. As the jets reached the outer atmosphere, they went dark, cutting off communication with command centers on Earth. The teams on the ground held their breath, praying that their new technology would work. The jets approached the alien fleet, and the moment of truth arrived. With perfect timing, they fired their payloads, using a combination of electromagnetic pulses and high-powered energy blasts. The human jet's unconventional attack caught the aliens by surprise. One of the alien warships shuddered under the impact, and for a moment, it seemed like the ship might explode. But instead, the alien vessel's power grid was disrupted. The shields flickered. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a sign that Earth wasn't entirely helpless. For the first time, humans had struck back, and they had hurt the aliens. The Galactic Council had underestimated the humans. They thought that Earth's primitive technology would be easy to destroy, but humanity had just shown that they were more resourceful than the aliens could have imagined. The world had been shaken, but now there was a glimmer of hope. As the alien fleet retreated momentarily, Earth's leaders understood something crucial. This war was far from over. They might have been caught off guard, but they were far from defeated. The first strike had been devastating, but humanity's response had begun to turn the tide. And now, with the aliens on the defensive, Earth's forces prepared for what would come next. The Galactic Council might have declared war, but humanity was not going to go down without a fight. The battle for Earth had just begun. After the first shock of the alien strike, Earth's military began to regroup. The devastating attack on cities and military bases had thrown humanity into chaos, but something unexpected happened. Amid the destruction, a newfound sense of unity emerged. People of all nations, backgrounds, and ideologies began to set aside their differences. The enemy was outside their world, and humanity, once divided by countless borders, had to stand together or face extinction. Across the globe, scientists, engineers, and military leaders worked tirelessly to create new strategies. They understood that the aliens' technology was far superior to anything Earth had ever seen, but they also knew that humans were capable of innovation when the stakes were high. The alien ship's temporary vulnerability had given humanity a glimmer of hope, but it was not enough. They needed more time and resources to turn the tide of the war. Commander Elizabeth Moore, still leading the team at the military base, was no longer just trying to survive. She was fighting for humanity's future. With the world now watching, the pressure was immense. Every decision she made could determine whether Earth survived or fell to the might of the Galactic Council. The small human victory against the alien warship had made waves. The Galactic Council, in its arrogance, underestimated the ingenuity of a species that had only recently discovered space travel. The humans had created something they didn't understand, a weapon that could hurt the aliens, and that was just the beginning. In a secure underground command center, Moore met with a group of the brightest minds on Earth. Their task was clear: build a weapon that could break through the aliens' formidable defenses. The group, which included military strategists and brilliant engineers, worked day and night in secrecy, but time was not on their side. With every passing day, the aliens were becoming more aggressive, launching further strikes to crush Earth's defenses. "We need something powerful enough to get through their shields and do some real damage," Moore said, her eyes scanning the room. Dr. Alexis Reed, a top scientist working on the project, stepped forward. "I've been working on a prototype for a new kind of energy weapon," she said, her voice confident but tinged with urgency. "It uses a concentrated form of dark matter. It's dangerous, but if we can harness it, it could disable their ships." Moore nodded. "How soon can we test it?" "We're close," Dr. Reed replied. "We've made progress in small-scale experiments, but we need more time to calibrate it." Time was a luxury Earth didn't have. Alien ships were getting bolder. A second wave of attacks hit Earth, targeting major population centers. London, Beijing, and New York were struck with brutal precision. The sky over these cities was filled with alien ships, and the sound of explosions echoed across the globe. It felt as though Earth was teetering on the brink of annihilation. But Commander Moore knew the truth. Humanity would not go down without a fight. The attacks only fueled their resolve. People from every corner of the Earth volunteered for the military. Civilians, once powerless, now found ways to contribute to the war effort. Earth was becoming a united front, its inhabitants working together in ways that had never been seen before. The alien fleet, having underestimated humanity's resolve, soon realized that Earth was not as helpless as they had assumed. Human innovation and unity were beginning to change the landscape of the war. And in that moment, the alien forces began to see humanity not as an easy target, but as an unpredictable, dangerous adversary. Earth's military forces launched their counterattacks with a new sense of purpose. The first of the new energy weapons was tested on the outskirts of a military base in the Pacific. The weapon, designed to fire a concentrated beam of dark matter, was aimed at a large alien ship in orbit. As the weapon charged, the Earth's forces held their breath. A brilliant flash lit up the sky. The weapon fired, and for a split second, it seemed as though the alien ship would be torn apart. The beam collided with the alien vessel, and the impact sent shockwaves through the sky. The ship was not destroyed, but its shields faltered. For the first time, an alien warship had been significantly damaged by a human weapon. "This is it," Moore muttered under her breath. "This is how we win." The breakthrough sent shockwaves through the military. The alien fleet, once thought unbeatable, was vulnerable. The new weapon, though untested on a large scale, had proven that humanity's technology was finally catching up to the aliens. This was the turning point the human race had desperately needed. However, the battle was far from over. The Galactic Council, enraged by the damage to their fleet, prepared to retaliate with even more force. But Earth now had something the aliens did not: the element of surprise. Earth's forces began to deploy the dark matter weapons across multiple battlefronts, forcing the alien ships into a defensive position. As alien vessels scrambled to regroup, Earth's counteroffensive gained momentum. But with the momentum came the reality that the war had only just begun. The Galactic Council was far from defeated, and its response would be swift and brutal. For humanity, this was just the first victory in what was shaping up to be a long and bloody conflict. The aliens may have declared war, but Earth was proving that they were not an easy opponent. The battle for survival was only starting, and humanity was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. The unexpected success of Earth's new weapon sent ripples through the ranks of the Galactic Council. The alien forces, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves questioning their plans. The humans had proven to be more resilient than they had ever anticipated, and their technological advancements were not to be underestimated. But while the Council debated how to handle this new threat, something else was happening: a whisper of rebellion. Inside the vast alien empire, not all was as united as it seemed. There were factions within the Galactic Council that disagreed with the decision to attack Earth. They saw the humans as a potential ally, a species that could be useful in the future, not a race to be destroyed. Among these factions was a high-ranking alien official named Commander Zilara, a leader who had long been disillusioned with the Council's methods. Zilara had seen too many worlds conquered, too many civilizations destroyed in the name of expansion. She had come to believe that the true strength of a galaxy lay not in its power to crush others, but in its ability to work together. But her views were not shared by her superiors, and she had been forced to keep her thoughts hidden. Zilara's concerns grew as the war on Earth escalated. She watched in horror as the Council sent wave after wave of ships to bombard the planet, their attacks growing more brutal with each passing day. Earth's response, though unexpected, had proven one thing: Humans would never go down without a fight. Late one night, Zilara met in secret with a group of like-minded individuals. These were not traitors in the traditional sense, but rather a coalition of alien officers who believed that the war against humanity was a mistake. They understood the potential consequences of further attacking Earth. If the Galactic Council pushed the humans too far, they might awaken a power the Council was not ready for. "We can't keep going down this path," Zilara said, her voice low. "Earth is more powerful than they appear. If we destroy them, we risk creating something far worse for the galaxy." Her words were met with agreement from several others in the room. There was no denying that Earth's resistance had been impressive. The humans had not only fought back, but they had also forced the Council to rethink its tactics. The weapons they had developed, especially the dark matter energy weapon, had caught the Council off guard. If the humans could do that so quickly, who knew what else they were capable of? "I agree," said an officer from a distant star system. "We've underestimated humanity. If we don't change our approach now, we may very well regret it." But Zilara knew the risks of acting. If they were discovered, the consequences would be dire. The Council was ruthless, and any hint of rebellion was met with swift punishment. She had to be careful. The rebellion within the Council had to be subtle, for if they were caught, the entire galaxy could descend into chaos. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Commander Elizabeth Moore and her team had been tirelessly working to perfect the new dark matter weapon. They knew that if the aliens retaliated with their full force, they would need to be ready. Earth's forces were scattered across the globe, launching counterattacks and defending against alien invasions, but they were running low on resources and manpower. Moore sat in a command room, reviewing reports from the front lines. The recent victories had given humanity hope, but they were also a wake-up call. The aliens had many ships, and their forces were vast. Earth could not afford to be complacent. "We need to strengthen our defenses," Moore said to her team. "We've learned a lot from the last few skirmishes, but we can't rely on our new weapon alone. The aliens are adapting, and we have to be ahead of them." Dr. Reed, who had been overseeing the weapon's development, nodded. "We're getting close, Commander. But there's still a lot of work to be done. The dark matter weapon is powerful, but it's unstable. We can't risk using it in a major battle until we've perfected it." "We don't have the luxury of time," Moore replied, her voice tight with frustration. "The longer we wait, the more ground the aliens take. We need to find a way to disrupt their communication and supply lines. We need to hit them where it hurts." In response, the Earth military devised a bold plan. Using a combination of hacked alien technology and their own innovations, they planned to infiltrate the alien fleet's communication systems. By cutting off their ability to coordinate, they hoped to buy time for their final weapon, a last-ditch effort that could turn the tide once and for all. The mission was dangerous. The alien fleet had grown more aggressive, launching coordinated attacks on Earth's military bases, but Commander Moore was willing to take the risk. If humanity didn't act now, there might be nothing left to defend. As the team prepared for the mission, Zilara's quiet rebellion within the Galactic Council continued to grow. She had learned about Earth's plans, and although she knew the Council would not hesitate to destroy the humans if they were caught, she began to wonder if there was a way to end the war before it escalated any further. Was there a way to convince the humans that not all of the Galactic Council wanted war? Her answer would come soon enough. A new message arrived in her quarters, encrypted with the highest security clearance. It was from the Human Command Center, Commander Moore herself. The message was short, but its implications were clear. "We know you're out there, and we know what you're planning. You have a choice: help us or become our enemy." Zilara's heart raced. Could this be the opening she had been waiting for? Could humanity see the potential for peace, even with an enemy like the Galactic Council? The next few days would be critical, not only for Earth's survival but for the future of the galaxy. Would Zilara and her allies be able to sway the Council, or would the war continue, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance? The stakes had never been higher, and the rebellion was just beginning. As the conflict between Earth and the Galactic Council reached a critical point, Commander Elizabeth Moore found herself standing at the crossroads of destiny. Her team had infiltrated the alien fleet's communication systems, and with the help of Zilara's quiet rebellion, they had gained crucial intelligence that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. But what they didn't know was that the rebellion within the Galactic Council was far deeper than they had ever imagined. Zilara's decision to reach out to Earth was one that weighed heavily on her conscience. She had always believed in peace, in unity, but now she was forced to make a dangerous choice. Her loyalty to the Council was now in question, and she feared the consequences of her actions if they were discovered. Still, she believed the humans had potential, a spark of hope that the galaxy could use, if they could survive long enough to prove it. Through encrypted messages, Zilara and Commander Moore began their secret communication. In these quiet exchanges, the two leaders forged an unlikely bond. Zilara shared everything she knew about the Galactic Council's plans and weaknesses. She had information that could help Earth develop countermeasures against the Council's weapons and strategies. Moore, in turn, shared insights into human resilience, resourcefulness, and the strength that came from unity. But this alliance, however fragile, was still built on the uncertainty of the future. Neither side fully trusted the other, and both knew that if they were discovered, the consequences would be catastrophic. The situation was becoming increasingly dire. The Galactic Council had begun to mass their fleets for a final, decisive strike on Earth. The Council's commanders were growing impatient, their frustration with the humans' unexpected resistance turning to anger. Earth had already repelled several waves of alien assaults, but the Council had an entire galaxy of resources at its disposal. If they unleashed their full force, Earth would be overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Zilara's faction continued to grow. She found herself in secret meetings with other high-ranking members of the Galactic Council who had lost faith in the war against Earth. The rebellion was growing, but so were the risks. If they were discovered, the Council would unleash its full wrath on them. Yet, Zilara believed that they had to act before it was too late. "We need to act now, before the Council's commanders push the button on the final assault," one of Zilara's fellow rebels urged. "Humanity has proven itself resilient, but they cannot hold out forever. We may be their only hope." Zilara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. The alliance between Earth and the rebellion could be the key to ending the war, but they had to move quickly. Time was running out. The longer they waited, the more entrenched the Council became in their war plans. The full-scale attack on Earth was imminent, and Zilara could only wonder if it would be too late by the time they made their move. Back on Earth, Commander Moore and her team had been working around the clock, finalizing their countermeasures. The information they had received from Zilara's group had given them new insight into the alien fleet's weaknesses. Using this intelligence, Earth's military was able to develop advanced cloaking devices and disrupt the enemy's communications. But even with these new tools, Moore knew that Earth couldn't win this war alone. They needed something more, something that would level the playing field. In the darkest hours of the night, Moore received a message from Zilara that could change everything. It was a bold proposition, a coordinated strike on the heart of the Galactic Council's fleet, one that could cripple their command center and force the Council to negotiate. The plan was risky. If it failed, both Earth and Zilara's rebellion would be wiped out. But if it succeeded, the Council would be left in disarray, and the war might finally come to an end. Zilara had arranged for a small group of Earth's top operatives to infiltrate the heart of the enemy fleet, using a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. The mission would be dangerous, but the risk was necessary. Earth needed a decisive blow, and the rebellion inside the Galactic Council was their only chance. Moore understood the gravity of the situation. She gathered her team for a final briefing before the mission began. The stakes were higher than ever before. "This mission isn't just about taking down their fleet," Moore said, her voice steady but firm. "It's about showing the Council that they can't just steamroll over us. We're not going to go down without a fight. This is the moment where everything changes. The mission was set into motion. The team would infiltrate the alien fleet's command center, plant a series of devastating charges, and cripple the heart of the Council's operations. The plan was to sow chaos within the fleet, buy enough time for Earth's forces to regroup, and create a rift between the rebellious factions and the Council's leadership. As Moore's team prepared for their final assault, the tension was palpable. There was no going back now. The rebellion inside the Council had reached its breaking point, and with Earth's response, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Zilara knew the risks she was taking. If the mission failed, she would be marked as a traitor, and the rebellion would be crushed. But if it succeeded, Earth would have a fighting chance. Humanity's resilience would be tested like never before. In the quiet darkness of space, the rebels and Earth's finest forces were about to collide. The final battle was about to begin. Would Earth's bold counterattack succeed, or would the Galactic Council prove to be too powerful? As the countdown to the mission began, Zilara stared out at the stars, knowing that the galaxy would never be the same again. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of machinery and the quiet whispers of strategy. Earth's best operatives, alongside the rebels from within the Galactic Council, stood ready for their mission. Commander Elizabeth Moore's heart raced as she paced in the dimly lit briefing room. The plan they had devised was nothing short of audacious. They had one shot at this. If they succeeded, they would strike at the heart of the Galactic Council, potentially ending the war. But if they failed, Earth and its allies would be wiped out in an instant. The team had already infiltrated the outer layers of the alien fleet's defense grid, aided by the advanced cloaking technology and encrypted communication channels provided by Zilara's rebel faction. They were now preparing for the most dangerous part of their mission, infiltrating the command center of the Galactic Council itself. Commander Moore addressed her team, her voice calm but firm, despite the overwhelming pressure. We know what's at stake. This isn't just about a tactical strike. It's about the survival of humanity. We've been underestimated, ridiculed, but now we have the chance to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. It's time to make them remember why you never bet against us. The operatives stood in grim silence, but the determination in their eyes spoke volumes. They had trained for months, honed their skills, and now they were on the cusp of executing the most critical operation in human history. As they approached the Galactic Council's flagship, they could see the massive vessel looming ahead, its dark hull gleaming like a shadowed giant in the cold expanse of space. The center of power for the entire galaxy was within their reach, and so was the chance to tip the balance in favor of Earth. Commander Moore took a deep breath, signaling the team to activate their cloaking devices. They had to slip past the outer layers of security without being detected. Every second counted. The team moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine, their movements swift and calculated. They navigated through the alien ship's corridors, bypassing security systems and silently neutralizing any guards they encountered. The mission's success depended on the element of surprise. If they were detected, it would all be over. Meanwhile, Zilara's group of rebels inside the Galactic Council's leadership had done their part. They had begun sowing dissent among the Council's upper echelons. The plan to weaken the Council from within had already borne fruit. Some of the higher-ranking Council members had started to question the war's legitimacy, wondering if it was time to abandon the conflict before they lost everything. Zilara had placed the seeds of doubt. Now it was up to Moore and her team to create the final push. The team reached the heart of the flagship, the command center. It was a massive room, filled with advanced alien technology and overseen by the highest-ranking officers in the Council. The alien leaders stood at consoles, directing the fleets in their final stages of preparation for the last assault on Earth. They were unaware that the humans, aided by their rebel allies, were already inside their most secure fortress. In the shadows, Moore's team planted the explosive charges with precision. Their mission wasn't just to destroy the fleet's command structure. It was to create enough chaos to throw the Galactic Council into disarray. The charges would disable the ship's communication systems, rendering it helpless. With its command center crippled, the Council would be unable to coordinate its fleets, buying Earth's forces much-needed time to regroup. As the team moved to set the final charge, a sudden alarm blared through the ship. The cloaking devices had failed. Someone had detected them. The tension in the air thickened, and the team knew that time was running out. "Move, now," Moore shouted, her voice sharp and urgent. The team sprang into action, grabbing the last of the charges and making a break for the exit. But the path they had taken was now blocked. Alien forces swarmed the hallways, converging on their position. The humans fought back fiercely, using their advanced training and tactics to hold off the enemy. Moore led the charge, her weapon blazing, her eyes focused on the mission at hand. She couldn't afford to think about the consequences. The mission had to succeed. The fate of humanity depended on it. In the chaos, Zalara's encrypted message came through, barely audible over the sounds of gunfire. "The rebellion is growing. Hold on. The Council's grip is weakening." Her words filled Moore with renewed determination. She didn't know how much longer she could hold the line, but she knew that the rebellion inside the Council was about to reach its tipping point. If they could just survive long enough to make it to the escape pods, the mission would be a success. "Everyone, fall back," Moore ordered. The team made a quick retreat, using every ounce of their training to fight their way through the corridors. As they neared the exit, they heard the deafening roar of the final charge detonating. The flagship trembled, and a violent shockwave rippled through the ship. The entire command structure of the Galactic Council was now in chaos. Communications were down, and the fleet's coordination was lost. The Council's leaders, thrown into disarray, had no way of directing their forces. The humans had struck at the heart of the beast, and now the war had changed forever. As Moore and her team made it to the escape pods, they could see the alien fleet in disarray. The humans had done the impossible. They had crippled the mightiest military power in the galaxy. But the war was far from over. The Council would regroup, and the fight for Earth's survival would continue. But in that moment, Commander Elizabeth Moore knew one thing for sure. Humanity had just proved that they would never be underestimated again. The escape pods shot out from the Galactic Council's flagship, propelled by adrenaline and the desperate need for survival. Commander Elizabeth Moore's heart pounded in her chest as she looked out the small window of her pod. Behind her, the massive vessel shuddered, caught in the aftermath of the blast. The command center was crippled, but the fight was far from over. There was still the vast alien fleet to deal with. Moore tapped her communicator, her voice steady despite the chaos. "All units, report in. We need to assess the damage and prepare for whatever comes next. Earth's future depends on this." The team's responses came in quickly, each one reporting minimal injuries, though the tension was palpable. They had succeeded in their mission, but the war was far from won. The Galactic Council's forces would surely retaliate, and the humans still faced a vastly superior enemy in terms of sheer numbers. As the escape pods entered Earth's atmosphere, Moore watched as the massive fleet above began to falter. It was no longer a well-coordinated war machine, but a fragmented, disoriented group of ships. The attack on the flagship had scattered the Council's forces, and now Earth's forces had a window of opportunity to strike back. The chaos was felt across the galaxy. Back on Earth, every military leader, from the highest commanders to the soldiers on the front lines, knew that their chance had arrived. The first signs of hope in what had been a seemingly endless war began to spread. The humans had delivered a powerful blow. Now it was time to take full advantage. In the command center of Earth's united fleet, General Adrian Black stood with a grim smile. His fingers hovered over the control panels, but it wasn't fear or doubt that gripped him. It was a newfound confidence. "Activate all fleet units. No more holding back. We've got them on the ropes. Let's show the galaxy what Earth's made of." With his order, the human fleet mobilized. Ships long in reserve, hidden away on Earth's moon, activated their engines. Massive warships emerged from their secret launch zones, ready to take the fight directly to the Galactic Council's disarrayed forces. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Back on the ground, citizens watched in awe as Earth's military might was unleashed. The war, once perceived as a losing battle, had taken a sudden and dramatic turn. Human ingenuity, combined with the relentless spirit of defiance, had now created a tipping point. However, the Council wasn't going to back down easily. The Council's remaining fleet commanders, though disoriented, were quickly regrouping. They had vast resources at their disposal, but the unity of the Galactic Council was fracturing. Doubts had begun to spread among the ranks. Leaders questioned their methods, and the once unstoppable force had now met a worthy opponent in humanity. Zilara, now in contact with Moore's team, had seen firsthand how quickly the rebellion was gaining momentum within the ranks of the Council. The once mighty empire, held together by fear and control, was beginning to crumble under the weight of its own hubris. Even now, Council officers who had once held complete loyalty to their cause began to defect, joining the growing rebellion inside their own government. Commander Moore, Zilara's voice crackled through the communicator. "We've got them. Their high command is in chaos, and their forces are on the brink of collapse. If we hit them now, we can cripple their entire military structure." Moore nodded, her heart racing. This was the moment that could decide the war. She could feel the weight of it pressing on her shoulders, but she knew one thing for sure. Humanity had come too far to back down now. "Prepare all available forces for a final strike," Moore ordered. "We'll take their leadership down, and we'll make sure they never dare challenge Earth again." In the chaos of the battle above, human ships formed an impenetrable line of defense. The Galactic Council's fleet had become nothing more than a disorganized mess, each ship fighting for survival rather than victory. Earth's military, once the underdog, now had the upper hand. As the battle raged on, Earth's fleet surged forward, taking down enemy ships one after another. Their weapons were precise, their tactics honed by the ingenuity and determination of humankind. Each strike was a reminder that humanity, though small in the grand scheme of the galaxy, was a force to be reckoned with. But the final blow would come from the most unexpected place. With the help of Zilara's rebellion inside the Galactic Council, Commander Moore and her team infiltrated the last bastion of Council power. They made their way to the heart of the Council's new command ship, a massive, heavily fortified vessel that served as the final stronghold for the remaining Council leaders. In the command room, Moore and her team encountered the last of the Council's leaders, a group of alien warlords whose pride had led them to declare war on Earth. They were surrounded by the very technology they had once used to crush other species, yet now it was useless against the ingenuity and willpower of humanity. "It's over," Moore said, her voice cold and resolute. "The war ends today." The alien warlords, for the first time, understood the true strength of humanity. They had underestimated Earth, thinking it was just another insignificant planet. But Earth had proven that it was not the size of the planet that mattered. It was the will of the people who called it home. In that moment, the Galactic Council, once the dominant force in the galaxy, was no more. Their fleet was in ruins, their leadership scattered, and their empire fractured. Humanity had not only survived, it had triumphed. As Moore and her team made their way back to their ship, they looked out into space, knowing that Earth had just changed the course of history. The galaxy would never forget what happened when the Galactic Council declared war on humanity, and humanity's response that left the entire galaxy speechless. The battle had ended, but the aftermath was only beginning. Commander Elizabeth Moore and her team stood on the deck of Earth's flagship, gazing at the stars. The Galactic War, which had begun with the declaration of hostility from the Galactic Council, had come to an unexpected and dramatic end. Humanity had not only survived, but had turned the tide and emerged victorious. The remnants of the Galactic Council's forces were scattered, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Back on Earth, The news spread like wildfire. The world had been on the edge of collapse. But now, there was hope. The streets were alive with celebrations as people from every corner of the planet rejoiced. The human spirit, the ingenuity, and the courage that had been so often underestimated had won the day. But amid the celebrations, there was a sense of unease. Commander Moore knew that this victory, while monumental, was not the end. The war had shown just how dangerous the galaxy could be, and now, Earth stood at the center of a universe that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The Galactic Council's collapse left a power vacuum in its wake. No longer was humanity a lone planet hiding behind the protection of a small fleet. Now, Earth had proven itself capable of standing on equal footing with the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. But what would come next? For Moore, the answer was clear. Earth's survival depended not only on its strength, but on its ability to form alliances, to connect with other species, and to build a future based on cooperation rather than conquest. As Earth's new leaders convened, discussions began on how best to move forward. Representatives from Earth's military, scientific communities, and political leaders met with the members of the rebellion inside the Galactic Council, including Zilara. The future of the galaxy was now in the hands of humans who had seen the horrors of war, but who also understood the value of peace and diplomacy. Zilara stood at the head of the council, speaking passionately about the lessons learned during the war. "We were once enemies," she said, addressing the gathered humans and aliens alike. "But in this new era, we have the chance to build something better. Humanity has proven that it can lead with strength, but it can also lead with wisdom and compassion. Now it's time to move forward together." The leaders of Earth nodded in agreement, and Moore stepped forward. "The galaxy is vast, and there are many unknowns," she said. "But Earth will no longer hide in the shadows. We are ready to step into the future, not as conquerors, but as builders, creators, and allies. Together, we can make the universe a better place for all of us." The words hung in the air, heavy with promise. The victory over the Galactic Council had been only the beginning. Humanity's true test was now about to begin. Would they be able to forge lasting peace, or would the shadows of war return? Only time would tell.